Harold Fannin, an absolute production monster, breaking rookie models left, right, and centre. I'm joined by the fantastic Dynasty Grill of the Dynasty Wildcard YouTube show to break down this intriguing prospect. Now, Ali, Harold Fannin, for me, is 100th percentile, 99.9th percentile in three of the key four metrics that I view for production in my rookie model. I don't know what to do with him. The guy's an absolute freak in terms of the production he's put up, but it was at Bowling Green. Do you believe that this is an elite talent that we're getting at a discount, or do you believe that lesser competition is the reason for the production?
Yeah, I certainly think that he has the widest range of outcomes in this tight end class. Like, I can see him being a superstar, but I can also see him going to a place that hasn't got the right offensive scheme, and he could be irrelevant within 3 years. I think for me, he's the hardest evaluation to nail down when we talk about the top five. But you can't fail to be excited about the possibility of him actually being used the right way, the correct way in the NFL. Just absolute ridiculous 4.07 yards per route run, dominator rating almost 50%. You mentioned the competition. You know, he's going up against the likes of Ball State, Akron in the MAC conference. And you jump to games against Power 5 schools in 4 games, so including games against Penn State, Texas A&M, 29 receptions, almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. So it does show that it's not just good against. Yeah, it's pretty good. And this guy's, he's explosive. He's so exciting. At 20 years old, I do feel like the questions to him come out of the combine are slightly overblown. I think that he's possibly going to be a great value when it comes to your rookie drafts, because he's not getting that buzz, with the likes of when you compare him to Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. This guy is number 3 for a lot of people, but there tends to be a big gap, and it could be the move to pay off to pass them if you're having to pay a first round pick and pick up someone with just as high upside as Harold Fannin in the later rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want more rookie content, hit that join button down below. You get a free copy of our rookie guide, all the film analysis, all the analytical takeaways, and everything else you need. Just hit the join button, silver tier and above, get a free copy. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Harold Fannin. I think that we talked about his ability as, a focal point of the receiving game. I think that he's a smooth route runner. I think he operates at all 3 levels. This is a guy that's not a tight end that's just operating underneath. He can run that seam. He can get deep. I think that his contested catch and hands are fantastic. Ability to consistently make grabs away from his frame. I keep seeing talk about him as a bad run blocker, and I think this is just a weight thing. I think people look at him, 241 pounds, and say, oh, he can't block in the NFL. I see more blocking wins from him than any other prospect at the tight end position in this game. I think that he, has some flaws. I don't think he's the perfect, wide tight end. I don't think you're going to want him lining up in line 70-80% of the time. But compared to most slot receivers, even if we're talking about someone like a Mark Andrews, I think he comes in as a plus in the run game in that sense. And I think it's going to take an inventive offensive coordinator to say, this is a guy that we can kind of get the most out of. As you said at the top, huge range of outcomes. Yes, I could absolutely see him busting. I could absolutely see him being tight end 1 overall in Dynasty. But I'm always going to bet on age-adjusted production, and this guy has it in spades. This is a guy who produced almost over 1,600 total scrimmage yards in his age 20 season. Tyler Warren's age 20 season, 168 yards. This is a guy that is where Tyler Warren was 3 years ago, and he's massively outproducing him. So yeah, I'm going to bet on production. He's my tight end 2 in this class. I'm very, very excited about the prospect he could be.
Yeah, people look at that 241 pounds, 15th percentile weight score, and just immediately assume that he can't block. But if you go back to a snap where he was against Abdul Carter, he pushed him back a good 6 or 7 yards down the field, absolutely no trouble. So this guy, 873 yards after contact, and someone that can separate, a tight end that can separate against defenders, that that's incredibly exciting to me. And in the right hands, I completely agree with the Dynasty tight end over, tight end one conversation isn't out of the realm of possibility.
Elijah Arroyo, 6'5", 250 pounds, could be one of the deep sleepers in this year's class. I'm joined by the fantastic at FF Dynasty Grill to break down this Miami Hurricane. Ali, are you an Arroyo fan, or do you feel like people are getting too excited about the potential?
No, perhaps I'm getting a bit too excited about the potential. He is my tight end 3, although I've got him in the same tier as Harold Fannin. I think these two have such a high ceiling of this class, but the low floor keeps them in that tier 2 for me. He's the classic home run hitter at the tight end position, which is a rare trait. 7 touchdowns this year, we'll say that, on 35 receptions, so a touchdown every 5 touches. His ADOT was great. It was exactly what we're going to see, 11.1, which is great. He's getting down the field. He's catching the ball, moving the chains, and he offers that home run threat. But then I think you have to pause a little bit and just assess where he was, because he's only done it for 1 year. 2 season-ending knee injuries. That's a bit of a worry. Only had 11 receptions through his first 3 seasons as a college player, which is concerning, but he did obviously manage to stay healthy in 2024, which was great. I think he started slowly, but as the year went on, he got better and better. And you just have to hope that durability is there in those knees. But yeah, 255 of his 590 receiving yards of down the field of 20 yards or more, which is absolutely great. I think obviously playing with Cam Ward helped him. A lot of people say that that's a bit of a knock. Why couldn't you do more with such a great quarterback, the best quarterback in this class? I just really like the plays where Cam Ward, as we know, likes to scramble a bit too much. That won't work in the NFL, but Elijah Arroyo was there to help him, was great at improvising and really being that receiver at the end of the play. I think he was underutilized at Miami. Career drop rate of just 2.1%. Really, really solid hands. There is some, concerns about his blocking, but as we mentioned with Harold Fannin, he's not going to be a guy that you're going to want to have to ask to block too much, because I think you want to put him in the slot, be a big weapon, be a mismatch. I'm excited about Arroyo. I think that his bust rate is going to be higher than the other tight ends at the top of the rankings, but his upside is right up there with the best.
Yeah, before we get into my thoughts, though, if you are finding us for the first time, hit that subscribe button. We have got Best Ball season just around the corner. And, of course, we will get you set up to win all those Dynasty leagues as well, with all of the rookie content you could ever want. I am really struggling with Arroyo, I'll be honest. I think that I kind of see the upside. As you said, he wins in those high-value areas of the field. He's fantastic in the red zone. I think he understands how to use his body, box out defenders, and that side of things, which is a big tick. He can be used downfield, and we see the high ADOT, as you talked about. And I think, anytime you've got those high-value targets, I'm intrigued. I think his blocking is okay. I think he's, going to probably end up in that big slot role rather than, as an F rather than a potential wide tight end. I do think he's a little bit of a linear athlete. I think you see it sometimes in his route running where he's kind of a bit clunky in and out of his breaks. And I think part of that is that he's a better kind of north-south straight line guy rather than a guy that's kind of smooth in and out of those breaks. And it's kind of like, I see bits, I see parts of a really good tight end, but I just don't quite know what to make of him. I think that, to me, he's a guy that's probably going to be quite landing spot dependent. If he ends up in a role where he's going to be a high volume role because of the coordinator, if he ends up in a Stefanski style scheme where it features the tight end, or, a scheme with Dak Prescott under center that features tight end, I think he could be good. But I think that's going to be more scheme and landing spot dependent than him. I feel like there's some good stuff, but I don't know if I love it. And I do think he's potentially more of a power slot that needs to round out his game to get there. So yeah, I like him, But I'm always going to lean back to age-adjusted production, as you said. 11 catches before his final year this year. Never had over 600 yards in a year. Like there's nothing that I love. So yeah, I'll take some dart throws if it's going to cost me kind of a 3rd round pick, something like that. But I don't know if I'm going to be banging the table, trading up to go and get me some Arroyo.
Yeah, I think the NFL will tell me a lot about where I'm going to take Arroyo and how confident I'm going to be with Arroyo. If he ends up being a day 2 pick, I think I'm happy to take a few shares, seeing where he's been drafted at the minute, unless that climbs. If he's a day 3 pick on a team that doesn't feature the tight end, as you mentioned, I'll be rather nervous about what he's going to be in the NFL, because the NFL, that they tend to overdraft blocking tight ends. You look at Tip Ryman from last year, going in, what was it, round 2, round 3, done nothing in terms of pass catching. He's just a pure blocker. So this is a guy that could be off plenty of NFL teams' boards because of his skill set, because of his weaknesses in his game. So perhaps he's very, very land and spot dependent, and perhaps there's not that many spots where he could land to actually hit it off.
Mason Taylor, 6'5", 251 pounds, out of LSU. He ticks all the right boxes. This is a highly athletic, highly intelligent, football smarts player with fantastic NFL lineage that could be the steal in this year's draft. I'm joined by the fantastic Ali Cook of the Dynasty Wildcard to break down this very intriguing tight end prospect. Ali, Mason Taylor, are you a fan, or do you feel like there's some flaws in this game?
I don't feel like there's many flaws in his game. I sort of see him as sort of a Colston Loveland light, where I also don't see many weaknesses in his game. I think that the NFL absolutely love Mason Taylor. I think that he's gone from a tight end prospect that not many people are talking about to someone that I see all over Twitter now, and people really like him. He's a guy that is only 20 years old, which is exciting. He's produced solidly for 3 years. He was their most reliable target in 2024. His yards per route run, when you look at the stats, weren't great, 0.9. The yards per team attempt. So his weaknesses, anything that concerns me is if he is a round 2 pick, which I'm seeing him mocked in the 50s, he would be the lowest or the 3rd lowest in a decade yards per team attempt if he's drafted round 2. But he's fine. I want to take some shots at Mason Taylor because I see, obviously, he comes from an NFL background, has to be mentioned. He's got great instincts. He's great at finding that soft spot 10 to 15 yards up the field. His IQ is something that I think will get him to work in the NFL. He's able to work all 3 levels of the field. 55 receptions in 2024. His drop rate was just 1.8%. This is a guy with really, really quick feet for someone that big. They feel like they're going 100 miles an hour. He's really twitchy. Looks like a big wide receiver rather than a tight end. And for me, I think if you're taking him any lower than, say, the 3rd round, I think you feel great about that. I feel like he comes with a high floor, perhaps a lower ceiling than some of the sort of the Loveland and Warren. But yeah, I think that he's a very safe pick. And I feel like he's a guy that the NFL absolutely loves. He could get top 60 draft capital and be a day 1 starter. So that could transition across to your fantasy teams.
Yeah, I really love Taylor. I think for me, if we're looking at cost to acquire, he's my favorite tight end in this class, because I think where you're going to be able to get him in rookie drafts, the potential, as I said, he ticks the biggest boxes in terms of he's highly athletic. And I think he just gets it. He's that ridiculous intangible of he's a natural playmaker, a feel for the game. I think you see that when he goes against zone. I think his understanding of where to sit, where to keep running, how to find those soft spots is kind of almost natural. Like, it's slightly ridiculous. And I'm a huge fan. I think that he walks into the NFL as, like, as you said, a competent league average tight end. But this guy's 20 years old, and I think there is a massive ceiling there. It might take a little bit of time before he's putting up huge box score numbers, but I think I really like it. I think anytime you're getting a highly athletic, productive player from a major college that's got NFL lineage, I'm happy to take that bet. And I think that, yeah, he's going to be someone that I'm definitely targeting in rookie drafts. But if you want more of my rookie content, hit that join button down below. You can sign up as a Sanctuary member, silver tier and above, get a free copy of the 2025 rookie guide. You look at the production, as you can see, no like massive blowout years, but I think part of that is just the way LSU use that tight end position. As you can see, over 350 yards every single season, no season over 600, but solid production nonetheless. Do you feel like he can potentially grow into like that Y inline tight end role, or do you think he is just destined to be a move tight end, a big slot that we're having to make allowances for him playing the position rather than just being able to be a true kind of 360 tight end?
No, I think I've seen enough growth from Mason Taylor at his young age to be able to be whatever that he wants to be in the NFL. He's got the skill set to do it. I think he can be a player that doesn't come off the field, which is great. I think he can do it all. I'd love to see him be more of a red zone target. He wasn't really that at LSU, but they've had some decent wide receivers there in the past that he's been playing with. I think that he's got the whole skill set. He's got big enough size. He's got enough yak in him. The way that he can work back to the quarterback, move the chains on third down. He was just reliable. This is a guy I completely agree that could be the steal of your rookie drafts.
Yeah, I think for me, he's a guy that I wouldn't be shocked if we're looking back at the end of 2025 season. It's like, yeah, showed some flashes, but nothing massive. But by 2027, 2028, I think he could be a reliable fantasy tight end. And let's be honest, as I said at the top, the cost to acquire, we're probably talking third round pick, maybe even a fourth round pick in rookie drafts. I'm very happy to take that flyer because I think there is a real scenario where he could be a top 6 dynasty tight end. And that is all we're chasing after all.